Hello, good evening. We might as well start a bit early. Since I'm sitting here and you're sitting there, and I can't be doing much. If you think I am looking questionable at my crotch, that's not what's going on. That's that going on. Don't bite my beard. It's a cat, yes, indeed. It's a very needy cat, but unfortunately, this cat Pixie has started to got this tendency that if he gets excited, it's purr, lick lick, bite. Yeah, it's a biter. Exactly, it's a biter. Kitty Cam Crunch. Don't think that's on my to-do list. But yeah, now It's more of a super villain, James Bond villain thing. Like here, having a cat while explaining how you will die in intricate ways as soon as I leave the room and left you alone with my death contraptions. Yep. So I have to pay a little bit attention because you can sort of stroke it and cuddle it, but if there's any like finger sticking out, then that goes like, yeah. Just need some laser shocks. Yeah, well, I don't think I need laser shocks. I got plenty of uh, a dangerous creature here. So this was supposed to be my day off, but I'm back. I'm streaming today, and I owe you an hour. So I think that might actually be already there. So let's hope that Steven also shows up, since he was kind of the one who sponsored that extra hour. Surprise, surprise. Yeah. So Hitchu, you're here. Thanks for the gifts up. And I don't think Hitchu is here now. Maybe sometimes. Also did a video today on Desynct, and yeah, I think that's pretty good. I'll continue that series for a while. I think that the next game that will be sort of added to the agenda will be that'll be sort of a bit of a little extended series. Will be Industries of Titan. I don't know how long we're gonna continue with Valheim. That's like kind of one of the things I want to figure out today, is like, now that we sort of have done everything at least once, we have both a lot of freedom, but also a lot of, I don't know what we should do. I mean, there's tons of things we can do, and I have a million things that are like, oh, we really should be, and I think that's what we're going to be starting on today. Plus, I think we should continue doing some cool builds, and that's kind of what I think we could work on, just making cool builds, and then just go out and exploring, finding a good combination between weapons and magic that sort of feels right. I do think that as we start leveling up magic, it seems rather superior to that, but we haven't fought any. I think the real test is a 1-star soldier in a in a confined mine. That's going to be challenging. Feels more or less done for now. It's only base maintenance. Well, no, it's also base. That's the kind of thing, like, once you get to the end game, you sort of have all the things unlocked, and all the things you wanted to do in the beginning, where you're like, oh, but I don't have tar, and I don't have black marble, and I don't have reinforced iron rod. Now we have those things, so we have all the freedom to build what we want, and I do want to also get that part, and not just go like, oh, end game done. And so I do feel that we still have some things that are interesting to do. And it also can then be like, if we want to make like the part of the game where you go, okay, I want to make something like this. Oh, we are out of, I don't know, out of tar. Let's have a trip to there. Oh, we're out of chains. Let's go have a look at that. Or we're out of something else. Then we can sort of go out and go on missions to take care of that, which I think is kind of the cool thing about Valheim. But that's only really coming into effect once you reach the end game, because then you can go anywhere. In the beginning, you might be like, oh man, I really wish I could build something, but I don't have it. Well, now we do. Have I checked out Riftbreaker? Yes, a lot. Even so much that they contacted me, and I just remembered that I forgot to reply to them. They contacted me and wanted my home address because they wanted to send something over. I'm not so keen on that. I think it's very nice of them, but I don't really. I don't really collect sort of like knick-knack, that kind of thing. So don't know. I mean, on the other hand, if it's a plushie, then I'm sure my kids would love yet another plushie. Valheim creative mode unlocked, kind of, but I don't think creative mode is particularly interesting, because then you miss the tension of things having a cost. Like if I'm like, okay, I want to build like a gigantic black marble thing with dark wood ornaments, then I have to sort of say, yeah, but am I willing to do the investment to do that? Instead of just going, like, yeah, I can build whatever I want. Then, yeah, I don't think creative mode is particularly interesting in Valheim. And I know you weren't suggesting that, but yeah. So that means we need to start looking beyond Valheim, and I got my eyes on Icarus as a interesting thing. It's kind of the same vein. It's different, but it's also a single-player survival game that is designed and balanced towards a multiplayer experience. So, I don't know if there are mods for Icarus. Actually curious about that. Then I'm probably. I don't mind mobile. Don't get me wrong, but we're kind of at a point when in Factorio we scale up from 5K to 6 to 10K, probably, or at least from 1K to onwards. Definitely, and that's an interesting thing as well. But it's also true that you can see that mainly the interest is getting from 0 to first rocket, not from first rocket to 1 rocket per second. Next, it shows a few mods for Icarus. Okay. Alright. Because basically what I need is like a ghost mode or some kind of way to retrieve corpses, because that's going to be just a shit show. Absolute shit show. And then if we could have something that we could work like the Valheim idea, then that would also be great. I think those would be like the most natural additions in terms. I don't want to change the gameplay, but I want to do console commands in if shit gets bad. I hear another cat outside the door, and the door is open, so it might be crowded in here. It's best part in some way, is it not? Yeah, to some it is. So that's actually what I want to sort of talk a bit about. Are you into civilization games? No, not really. I find they are incredibly repetitive. I like the tension in the early game, but I am at a point with Civilization, and now I played a lot of Civilization 5, but not a lot of Civilization 6. I'm at a point where if I play on the second highest, it becomes not too easy, but you can kind of go straight through it. And if I play on the highest difficulty, then it becomes so ridiculously sharp interactions you have to do. Like, you have to be able to declare war at a certain point against someone, and then be able to steal some tech, and be able to have like a specific high ground area where you can follow all of their billion archers in and kill them. And I love that tension, but it's just so. Yeah, because at the mid game, it just becomes cycling through all of your cities and just adding a marketplace, adding a bank, adding a coliseum, adding a library, adding a university, and then you just realize that you're just cycling through your 20 cities, building one thing, and then you go like, okay, and then you look at all your settlers and your workers and all that stuff, and think, okay, let's build an irrigation, let's build a forest, let's build a mine. And then you go, okay, now actually, after 30 minutes of this turn, I get to sort of take the two decisions about, am I going to settle in this location, or am I going to start a war here? And those are the interesting decisions about, but you end up spending 95% of the time on just maintenance. And it played a lot of Civilization, but not really having that interest anymore. More on the logistics side. Other games, Industries of Titan, mentioned that. It's coming out officially on Tuesday next week, so I think that's going to be an interesting thing. I'd like to play through the game. We played it and I enjoyed it. I felt the NPCs were a little bit too chatty and a little bit annoying, but it was a good game and had a different and interesting feel to it. So that's going to be interesting to give that a shot as well. Cool. Oh, man, it's so meditative having a cat just purring in your lap. Very nice. It does kind of hinder what we can do, and as soon as I start moving the mouse, I am sure that it'll go like, ooh, we're playing? Alright, I'll catch that mouse with my claws and jaws and bad attitude. I hear a cat coming up the stairs now. They always go when they go up and down the stairs. It's so funny. So they don't sneak up and down the stairs. They go. Hmm? Yep, that's 2 cats now. I guess I'm not going to be playing Mexican. Here's another kitty. So this is Speedy. Yeah, I guess it's going to be a bit difficult to get anything done today. But we'll just say hi to them and then we'll put them down. Cat, indeed. And they're so cuddly. Like the fact that I can just reach down and they don't mind being picked up and then carried like this. They're just, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, but I kind of feel now we need a cat cam. Yeah, I know. I'm trying to get them to stay in here while I'm streaming, and then preferably I want them to lie right over there so they can see me, but not sort of like this, because this is a little bit disruptive of our progress. But maybe that's okay for now. Cat cam unlocks hype train level 5. Not really, but you know, we could do something where we can unlock it a little bit, and then, but of course they have to be here. Although I do think that they'll probably want to stay here. But let's see. Gonna see it so that you can see him as well. The cats are happy. Oh, they're very happy. They're also extremely spoiled. And they spent at yesterday evening or night. They at 2 o'clock they decided to have a chase up and down the stairs. So you just heard them like zooming up and down the stairs. Oh, that's one down, and then we'll put the other one down. I have hands! Yay! Alright, cool. Okay, what are we talking about? A game that isn't too replayable? Wish DSP had come with enemy AI already. Yeah, I know, but I am happy that they did it this way. Like, they had intentions of doing it, but it's such a massive thing, and I think that games that overreach end up being mediocre at too many things. While they delivered a really crisp experience, they found out that they were sorely missing blueprints from the way people wanted it, so they went into blueprints, and then they went into optimization, because as soon as people get blueprints, they build much bigger. That's also why they can say what they want in Coffee Stain Studio, but I guarantee you that a big part of the reason why they don't have proper blueprints is because they don't want people to build so big. And then they go like, The only people who build gigantic are streamers who spend 1,000 hours in a game, or some other people. But and they will be, if you spend 1,000 hours into a game, you also know that you should be breaking the game in a single game. But if you have blueprints, then by hour 50, you just kill the game because you built a gigantic steel factory and an iron factory, and then you can't progress. And then you go to the forums and yell about bad performance, and then they go like, well, you did it to yourself. And that's just not how reactions go. So guarantee you that a big part of it is they can't handle the performance, and they either can't or don't want to be able to scale up on that part. Or yeah, I mean, that's probably, it's always about sort of the investment into it. Is it worth investing into performance when it's only very, very small minority of people who will actually get to that location? Yeah. I'm always paranoid about rolling over a cat's tail with the office chair. I didn't think of that until now. Yeah, I can understand that. Now I'm going to sit perfectly still here. But, you know, they have very physical ways of letting you know that you're doing that. I was cleaning up after dinner, and they always sit in the kitchen just watching me do that. I don't know, hope they get something, but they don't. And one was sitting under the dishwasher, and I just opened it, like, and it was just looking at me, and it refused to move, so I just opened it all the way down, then put the things in, opened it again, and it was just lying there all flat, and go like, dude, I was here. It just refused to move. I thought you stood up while streaming. I did, but I can't, unfortunately, anymore. These old legs are falling off, so that sucks. Performance tuning of software is a big part of my job, and I can tell you it's not that simple as many might think. No one thinks it's simple. I would probably say that's one of the hardest things, because adding a new feature is just adding more stuff on top, but making the same feature work in a more optimal way, that's difficult. But it's also like one of the really cool challenges of just finding out, like, okay, what are the things that we're spending time on? Oh, cache invalidation. Fuck. We are just invalidating caches all the time. And then, yeah. Then that's probably something. Or building up indexes, or building up caches that you think you might need to save time later, and in the end you find out that you spent 90% of the time just building up indexes and caches to save a little bit of time on something you only need to do once, and as soon as you need to do it again, you can't really guarantee that this cache is still okay, so you just invalidate it and then move on. Yeah. That's at least the stuff that I was working on together with the developers. I was sort of more on the mathematical side. I did not have the expertise on the programming side, so it was always a trade-off when we sort of signed the algorithm, and they of course signed the code, and it was just like, okay, this is the best way mathematically, but then it doesn't perform very well, or this is the best way from a computer science perspective, but it's not a very good mathematical model for it. And then we sort of, I had me and the lead architect, we had these sessions where we went into one of the small reading rooms that was between the consultant division and the programming the department. It's a small company, but then there was one of these rooms, and there was a whiteboard, and we had a whiteboard marker each, and we closed the door, and we just yelled at each other for an hour, and then we came out like, all right, I got my way. We both said that, and then maybe it got better. Those were some of my best experience, from sort of my best work experience, because I was doing mathematical modeling, and he was doing computer science modeling, and we were just cool. It was really cool, and it got better for it. So I added a table search algorithm, and that's my favorite heuristic. So it's all good. You can always use a table search. So I'm getting my certification for competency. to get into IT field instead of going to get a degree. Say that's viable. I don't know what a comp tier is. I don't know what that accomplishes. I don't know anything about any of that. So I don't think you should be asking me about that. Yeah, I did play Astro Colony. I have no intention of playing it again. We talked earlier about games overreaching and trying to do too many things at once. That is my prime case on that perspective. Just trying way too hard to do too many things. I thought you were into IT. I was into IT, but please consider that IT is a gigantic domain, and there's also a lot about what you are doing and where you live, and in some businesses and in some organizations and some countries, you can't do anything without any certifications, and that's everything. Like, for example, if you're a consultant, you need the certifications because that's your way of proving to potential customers that you have these competences. It doesn't mean that you have the competences. It just means that you spent the time to go on a 2-day course, paid $10,000, and then got a certificate for it. But at least it's the best proxy for knowledge that we have, instead of you going like, well, I've been a project manager for 10 years and I don't know shit about. I know a lot about project managers, and I know that project manager for 10 years could mean that you've been, I don't know, managing an Excel sheet about whose turn it is to buy a present for someone else in the apartment. Oh, I've been project managing the hell out of that. Or you've been, I don't know, implementing global IT systems in international organizations, and everything is just project management. And the same thing is IT, like a normal help desk agent. Okay, well, I don't know. I don't know, because I would never, and I've had 16, no, 12, I think it was 12 service desk, second line help desk people working for me, and I couldn't care less if they had, if they had any certification. It was much more important that they knew the business than they knew the IT, because the IT we can teach them, but they need to know what the customer is talking about in the customer's language. So for me, don't care. So yeah, it's a different thing. Basic experience over paper. Yeah, but that's also sort of unfair, because how do you get into that, right? How do you break into that if you're young and you go like, ah, man, everyone says here's a good starter job, but they say 3 to 5 years of experience. Like, how do you get the first job? And I know, I just think that certificates are overrated. They serve a purpose as a proxy for experience, but I have a lot of certifications, by the way, and I just don't think that it's like, when you go to some certificate, like, let's say I have Prince 2 Foundation and Practitioner. I have IPMA C as so my project management. I have lead enterprise architect, Microsoft Azure. Does that mean that I can function as an Azure architect? No, of course not. Oops, that's someone putting out the lights. Oh, nope, 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 that's not for playing. Um, but I spent 5 days at Microsoft learning about all the cool things that are possible in Microsoft Azure, and I got a nice fancy certificate for it, but it doesn't mean I know shit about it, and that's the problem. Now we're going to organize the cables. Well, this is my. Well, if I organize it, you're going to yell at me about interference on the microphone. So I mean, I'm damned if I do. It's either you guys or it's the other guys who are going to be haunting me. But that's my charging cable for my cell phone, so it's always like it has to be around. Well, anyway, let's start the game up if you don't mind. Got a little bit sidetracked here and got the music. Good. There we go. There we go. Whoops. Oh, it stopped the sound. And why did the event log for Streamlabs just die? Pay for the experience, not for the papers. Yes. The problem is also that there's like a self-fulfilling sort of theme around certificates, because the people who get a certificate, they spent the money or the time or persuaded their boss to spend the money, so they're proud of that achievement. The companies that give out certificates, they were pushing it as, oh, this is the best thing ever. And companies hiring, then you're writing like, I need a project manager with X years of experience. I don't know. Then you just tag on, like in Europe it would be Prince 2, in US it would be PMI, and just like tag it on and go like, yeah, you have some kind of certification in project management. I go, well, there we go. Then we sort out some of the riffraff, and that just makes people who want to apply for a job think that there is everyone, like all my peers are just sharing on LinkedIn that they got a new certificate. All the pop-ups about this certificate is better than that certificate. It's like all these things that sort of conspire to make you believe that it's super important. And it's in some fields, it's when you work with regulations, there's definitely a need for it. I would probably say someone mentioned Cisco certification. That also seems like something, because then you learn how each of these components work, and there might be some things that seems like a very rigorous field, at least to me, like network engineering, where if you work by experience, you might miss something super obvious. But if you have the certificate, then you know that things like it comes with a default password. You might want to change that. But if you just work on experience, you may forget those things. That's my best example of how things that network engineers forget. Sorry. Now, ITIL training I did, that was a complete joke. Yeah, ITIL is a complete joke. At least in my opinion. My humble opinion. I am not a fan of ITIL. ITIL, and it's because ITIL, very often, the people who are... Now, I'm sorry if I offend anyone. The people attracted to ITIL are very rules and process based. And it's sometimes impossible to get shit done if you have to follow all the rules. Especially if you work in rapid software development. Then it sucks. Then you're like, oh, well, nothing gets deployed to production without a 10-page checkbox where you guarantee and swear in blood that nothing could ever go wrong, and you've talked to all stakeholders and they've all signed off on everything. And like, yeah, that's not how the world works. That's just, then we might as well close the company if that's how we work. And sure, maybe if you're launching rockets, it's probably a good idea to have a little more check, but most of the companies, it's just a freaking website, and if something goes wrong, and you just roll back, because that's more safer to roll back than it is to just guarantee that there will never be any errors, because you can't do that. I can guarantee it, but it's not going to happen anyway. One here. Seems like there's always one left. Did it start up again? Interesting. So it processed the last sap in here, but it never spit anything out. Huh. Now there's one here, but it was one down here before. Odd. Stuck on the 2-week agile production cycle. I am always in favor of throwing just moving forward. And if you make a mistake, you move forward instead of this. Oh, I thought I had stored things here. Huh? Where did I move it then? Is it still up here? Oh yeah, it shouldn't be up here because we have nothing we want to build in this building anymore. The only thing we want is repairs. No, we don't have anything. Okay, I've also emptied everything out here. Huh. Where do we then have the ITER? It's pitch black here. Just ceremonies included. Like, I know this is like easy to say and hard to do, but I have always just once you have your basics in order, and of course we're not talking about restructuring the underlying database, but adding features continuously. I am really of the belief and of the opinion that you want to have a position where you add a new feature, but it's default but disabled. So it's in production, and then you see that nothing breaks, like data model wise, and then after it is in production, you can try switching it on, and if things go wrong, you can switch it off. So you don't need to deploy yourself out of issues. But then if someone adds a new feature, then what I've just seen is that suddenly, like, you add the new feature, and then if it doesn't work, then suddenly nothing works because you don't have the old flow, you don't have the new flow. So there's no flow through the system. But if you add the new feature as a disabled option, then you can keep doing the old stuff, and then you can not on the release day, because then you might hash out some release issues and make sure that things are working and people get used to the new UI or whatever. And then on 2 days later, 5 days later, when things are stable, you activate that new feature, and then you have it. And then you can say, like, okay, I'm going to sit next to the super user, and you will be doing you activate this, you'll do the new flow. Once you confirm it, everyone gets the new flow, instead of it being like, we deploy on Sunday, and Monday morning, everyone has to work the new flow. Come hell or high water. Yeah. Famous feature flag. It's not everything that can be done. Of course, I acknowledge that. I want to go out and find some ITER and find some. We sailed through that, and find another location. I think. Only problem is I actually ate some stamina food, so we have no hit points. Maybe that's okay. It's not okay. Decade of software architects saying yes to everything the business asks. Still trying to get someone to agree that standing firm would be helpful. Yep. Yeah, I was also told that I should just always say yes. Okay. But who's... the problem is that it is okay to say yes, but the problem is that if you sit with the business partner who owns the business risk and you go like, we can do this, but this is the risk, and they go like, yes, do it. It's so important that we get it. And then you do it, and then the risk materializes, and then they don't go like, well, I knew there was a risk, let's get out of this mess together. No, that's not how it happens. It'll be like, you fixed this shit, you're IT, why did you not test this specific weird coincidence interaction with something that, like, and I'll go like, well, next time there will not be a question about whether you want to accept the risk, because you won't accept the risk anyway. Yeah. Right, what is it? Okay, I want to get out and get, where do we have it? We have up here. We did take this one, and we have ML3, so I think I'm going to be taking ML3 and then moving down here and taking the other skull. That is the plan. Ooh, I was just geared up for, ooh, we're geared up for a location. You know what? Screw it. This is going to be a mine. We're going to take a mine out. It's a CDN that serves 10% of internet traffic. Yeah, that's a different kind of scale. But, you know, that is not what most IT people work with. And therefore, it's also a little bit irrelevant to apply the norms that you have in your particular business to someone who makes non-critical applications to a subset of users that are just so. So I think that it's a fair enough assertion, and I had enough. Was it mystery or ML3? It was ML3. All right, let's go. I think that if I was to do something that would help, now I'm much into organizational design, but if I was to do something generally that would help businesses generally, my one thing would be there is no business IT, because that's always been the root of issues, in my opinion. Like, you have to make sure that the business and the IT is not separated. It's always the same, because the people who are business, they can distance themselves and just look at, well, you're just like the guy delivering food to our canteen. You just have to get it working. I don't care what you do. You just get that shit working. And the IT is then neutered or like made deliberately incompetent, because if someone in IT goes like, well, what about or can we talk to the end user? Then go, no, you just deliver IT. We'll tell you what the end users want. And your IT, don't think you know the business. We know the business. You know IT, so fix the damn IT. That's always been my main gripe. There. That is enough for Edu. Yep. And how I fix it? Well, oops. Oh, now I don't know what I'm doing. I can't remember how to play this game. How do I play the game? I have no hit points. Why do I have no hit points? Summon friends. I wonder if I can kill myself from this. Good. It's all good. Now we just have no hit points. And we have no hit point recovery as well. This is a disaster. Where are my skeletons? Screw it. I'm a mage with a sword now. Wow. Underwhelming performance so far. It's also a little bit difficult because I have 0 hit points. That's a stamina. Hello, Spellmore. Hello, guys. Yeah. Yeah. Is it protected? Oh, it is protected. They're probably not gonna like that I destroy their hideout, I guess. So let's start by making a portal, so that when we inevitably die from stupidity, then at least we can recover. Anywhere now. ML3. Alright, so how do we nuke the dwarves? I don't know how many there are. Let's go take a look. Okay, we got one there. Ooh, you're aggro. That's good. Were you aggroing on? Me? Or did you just... Were you just an idiot? You just walked through the barricades. What are you so agitated about? Okay, we also have a mage. Okay, frost mage. Let's go do some reconnaissance. Don't get lost. No, 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 I don't get lost. A lot of other things will happen, but lost is not one of them. Alright, so it looks like 3 mages. Let's also mark this. Oh, 3 dwarves. And we're stuck here. Should we try and fight from up here? Come on, come on. You can do it. Oh, this is such a bad idea. I really need more stuff to hide behind. And there's always a sneaky... Yeah. It also just annoys me that the skeletons, they just gave up on life. Dead skeletons. It goes to 100. Replenish our shield as well. And then we somehow need to find our hit points again. They must be a little bit worried about, like, why are you doing that? All that stuff. What is your name? Runa Gauti. Okay. Let's do it. Let's do it. I have 50 hit points. That's all I need. Ow. Come on, dwarfs. Not dwarfs. Skeletons. How am I not hitting you? There we go. Bam. Come on, skeletons, you can do the rest. Excellent. I'm the good guy, right? Do some fireballs. Where you be at? Eh, well, maybe here. Damn you to hell. There? I don't know if frost mages are more susceptible to... less susceptible to frost. Boom. It had it coming, that one. Alright, we got it. It's all good. And then we just run around and make sure that there's nothing more that we missed. More fresh fruit? Yeah. There. And then I also want to move my stuff in here. That was just for backup, this one. We're gonna have to remove it anyway. So ballista targeting will be improved in the next patch. Ballista configuration, it says. So that's probably good. And I can't do anything because I don't have... I forgot to bring all the stuff I needed, so that kind of sucks. Let's see if we can chop some of this down. Yeah, get a little bit of wood. We only got 2. Yeah, so I need more. Oh, fine wood, indeed. That's enough for one box. And that cannot be transported. So, and then we make here ML3. Cool. And what do we want to do here? We can't do anything except sort of go home because we can't tap anything. We can tap maybe these things here. A little bit of soft tissue, but that's it. And like ideally we would also get some I was thinking like getting a smelter just for some iron. We can get some iron up here or here, and then we could smelt some iron, make a stone cutter, but for what purpose? For these chunks here, that's not much to get. Not much value from that. Go home. How are you enjoying or not enjoying Majory? I think it's fun. I don't think it's something that I feel is necessary for Valheim or particularly fits very well. Or at least I would say that if it should be added, it should have been added sort of as a progression all the way through. And the fact that they just added it at the end, it just kind of feels a little weird to me. It seems very much tacked on, the fact that like when they add Ashlands, it'll be like, oh, then suddenly you can do magic from you get to Mistlands, and then you can do it there, and then what, right? It doesn't seem like an integrated part of everything, which it clearly isn't. It's something that's being added for this particular zone, and it's fine when it's the last zone available, but it just feels a bit weird. Nothing major, but the act itself, I think it seems pretty balanced. Like the biggest balance is the fact that you have to make trade-offs with your armor and weapons, and therefore you can't get what you really want. Oh, that's where I put it. Okay, so we can move it somewhere else later on. One. Yeah. Refresh. Oops. Let's go and make sure we get chopping. Some of that one and that one. Don't think we need this. We might. Yeah, and it's yeah, it works fine, and it performs fine in that regard, but I just don't feel it's necessary. It's a Viking game. You're playing as a Viking, and suddenly you run around like a mage throwing fireballs. Like it feels generic fantasy, where Valheim had a unique idea and stuck to it, and now it's just like, yeah, okay, then we have a healer and a mage and a rogue, and okay, now it's just generic fantasy. I understand why they added it. If it's multiplayer and they all run around with the same weapon, it becomes a bit bland. Now someone can be charge of buffing, someone can be in charge of something else. Yeah. Valheim Rising. Did we get 24 minutes? Yeah, we did. There we go back and start chopping, and we have some new food with us. Will be near impossible without magic. Oh, that would suck. That would really be bad. Yeah, I do think that is highly likely. And the reason I think that's highly likely is that if we look at so much of Valheim is just so much easier at range, and now we just got some absolutely spectacular ranged options. So many bosses are just so much easier with ranged. They might not be faster, but they are certainly easier. And that is, I think that's a potential problem. Because now we have some really, really efficient ranged option with magic, and then they're just going to be dominating. And how are you going to balance that? Well, you can always just make magic immune or magic resistant things. so you kind of have to do a little bit of each. Have we killed the Mistlands boss yet? Yes. With melee and abuse. Mostly abuse. And also the bile bombs. I understand it's a raid boss, but I don't like 20 minutes long boss fights. Because one mistake and it's all over. Which means that you have to play it in a specific way. I like the Dark Souls version better. It might be punishing so that when you make a mistake you die, but then again it's a 30-second corpse run, so whatever, and you don't lose anything from dying, so if you do things right, of course. Tough to kill solo, almost requires abuse. We had 2 mages and a tank and we barely did legit. Yeah. The thing is also, like, it's so difficult to, like, you have to be very, very careful not to end up abusing. Like, because the line between good strategy and abuse is razor thin. Like, oh no, she's coming. I can tank her. Nope, you can't tank her. There's just no way you can tank her outside of bone mass. So that means 15 minutes out of 20-minute cycle, you can't tank her. That's it. You can't. Don't say you can, because you can't. And then, so what do you do there? Well, you have to just not tank her. That means running away, or hey, good idea, let's run into cover, then step out, and then you're gonna like, oh well, this is super abusive, because I can just hit her through the wall, or I can just throw bombs, or I can just a million other things that are just, oh okay, step out, shoot, step back in, wait for the ballista to recharge, step out, shoot, step in. Like, is that abuse? I don't know. It's also pretty smart to step in. You can throw bombs and then just let them tick. You can throw bombs through the wall. You can do the hammer through the wall. You can just do anything through the wall. And then it becomes like, right, so am I sitting here waiting for bone mass to be up in 15 minutes time so I can do a proper tank and spank as I want to? Or do I... And if you do that, isn't that abuse as well? Just sitting there hiding and waiting for cooldowns? Like, it's just, everything is just, you have to come up with your own definition of what is abuse and what is legitimate. Yeah. Yeah, dodge tank, yeah. It's all just clever user game mechanics. Yes. And that's why I'm not a big fan of the design, because if you have a fight that's 3 minutes long and has these kind of merits, then it's easy for you to go like, all right, I'm gonna give it like 20 shots fair and square, and then I know I can abuse the hell out of it if I need to, if I get frustrated. Cool. But if it's a 28-minute long fight, you really don't want to give it too many shots, because that's kind of suck. That's a lot of time you waste if you die after 25 out of the 28-minute long fight. I don't know how long it is, depending on how you play it, of course, and all that stuff, right? So because of that, you have to play super safe, and then it just becomes, yeah, it kind of just steers you in a way that ends up being, yeah, screw it. I know how the boss functions, but let me just take the rest of the hit points out. Standing in here. Hello, Mr. Mini. And that's just, I understand it if you're in a multiplayer setting, but I'm not. So if in a multiplayer setting, if one person dies, then the other people can run interference, and you can come back and you can continue, and that kind of thing. And one can tank, or one can run away while the other 2 DPS, or one can be on ad duty, or something like that. There's a lot of cool things you can do in a group. Hello, Steven. As you can see, we are here. Oh, by the way, I wanted to check if it works. That thing was added. See, bonus hour unlocked. Yes, see, bonus hour is unlocked. It was added from last time because I had to end early. So you are not going to be cheated out of your extra hour, or like everyone's extra hour. Okay, so we don't think we can jump further down here without swimming. Oh, that was a long break. That was a world save. Ah, okay. So now it takes 2.5 seconds to world save. That's a long time. So, like when it came to boss fight, like Melania, if you watch my Elden Ring, damn was that a tough fight. But it came in sort of in strides. There were moments when I was really frustrated about it, and then there was sort of like going back into it, like no, I'm making progress. I'm learning this fight. It takes longer than it should, and it has any reason to take, but I am learning and I'm progressing, and I'm now consistently getting to phase 2 and then dying there. Like that's the kind of that feels great, but that's also because the fight isn't that long. It can be. Still, the water dance is just not solved for me. What? Oh, traumatized. That's Bloodborne. Yeah. Yeah, that is very graphic. Yep, poor pig. But it ate a little girl, so you know it had it coming. Oh man, Bloodborne, such a good game. It's one of the best games I've ever played. I got experience of Bloodborne. Damn. Like, it is... Yeah, Bloodborne and Darkest Dungeon are the best games at capturing Lovecraftian mythology. That setting. Alright, we're making progress on this goop. I also became a bit more friendly with Darkest Dungeon last time. I'm still just a bit underwhelmed about the impact of relationships, but they were too good before, so maybe we just have to accept that. They were nerfed because they were too powerful, and we have to get used to the fact that they're a little bit underwhelming. Until we sort of just get used to that is the power level that they should have. Well done, Mr. Timony. That was super fast. I just saw a long essay popping up in chat, and then it was just gone. Well done. You are on point. Employee of the month, definitely. Damn, throwing out the bands like that. Hey, take that, all the other moderators if they are here. Cool. Thank you. They added €1 to my wallet. I can spend it for a few weeks. Has this happened to anyone else? That seems a bit sus. I like using so. Oh yeah. Like sometimes you're just in a mood where you just go like, oh come on, come on. Do you feel lucky? Well, do you, punk? Except that that's actually not the quote from the movie. Ah man, so many quotes that don't actually exist, but exist in our minds. Luke, I am your father. That doesn't exist. Or Casablanca. Play it again, Sam. Nope, that's nowhere in the movie. Like, there are so many movie quotes that don't actually exist. That have just sort of, oh, there we go, become part of pop culture that we think that they exist, but they're not actually. And of course they're almost, but Almost is not good enough for us. Maladu, thank you for